Hey-oh. Hello, brother. How are you, brother? Special teams, special players. Hey.
Oh. Let's go.
All right, everybody. It's Bass and Brews. We've got Alex Rudd on. Even before we get started, we just ran a TikTok, and I did it kind of as a joke. Not really a joke, but just like an engagement TikTok. And it was, who's been a guest on TikTok on Bass and Brews the most? And there's actually a bunch of really good answers for it. And I was like, well, fuck, now I actually got to look it up. And just so you know, Rudd, you own the record.
Heck
Even
yeah.
before recording this is going to be your 5th time on the podcast. It's basically your podcast now, too. You get 10% of the cost.
Let's go. 10% of cost. You know, actually, that'll be a good business expense at the end of the year. So let's talk about that afterwards. No, that's awesome, though, dude. Like, I love it. I always tell people I love podcasts, so I'm glad that I'm the number one guest. I will come on anytime you guys want me, and so except for if I'm going to see Avenged Sevenfold and then I bail on you the last minute because I'm a dummy and didn't check the schedule. But other than that, I'm here. I'm here anytime. I'm here. Anytime.
Hey, if there's anything that we're good at on this podcast, it's in adjusting last minute.
Yeah,
and so we made it work. I will say somebody said me, and I agreed with them as being the guest with the most appearances. Because Correct. As much as Alex says he's going to replace me, I really do feel like a guest sometimes on this podcast.
Oh, hey, well, before we get into your sadness, because you had quite the sad weekend, remember everybody sign up for that Patreon. We just got done with Last Call with Alex and Paul, episode 2 last week. Good times were had. We had that new intro. We're slowly evolving that. And then Paul, we only got a month left of OG pricing before we try to make our millions and charge $999 a month.
Yeah, I think we got a couple months. I think we got this month and next month. So what is it? April, May, starting in June.
Okay.
Is when
so you guys got a couple months.
The price goes up. Yeah. Get in on this introductory price level and help
only
us out.
$69.
And it's a fun time. Again, to be clear, it's not like this show. We don't have guests. It's just me and Paul. We do a lot of interacting with you guys, the Brewskis, the producers of the show, basically. So it's a good time.
And the topics won't deal with typically what we talk on here. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on in the home life, some of our bullshittery going on, and then maybe some news articles. It's just something a little bit different to try to make some money so Alex doesn't have to pay for the podcast anymore.
Well, now we have Rudd taking on 10% of the cost, so that's good.
And honestly, I dig that. I'm actually thinking about doing that myself because I dig it. I think that I want a space where I can bring people on and have a little bit of I take the gloves off quite a bit on my podcast. I mean, I've said some things. I've said some very some controversial things on the old Alex Rudd Fishing podcast. But I think more than that, not even take the gloves off, is just be able to have more real conversations with people that want to chill with me and hang out. You know what I mean? Because it's cool. I never would have met you guys if it weren't for the internet. And so I know the internet's going to introduce me to some cool people. You know what I mean? So it's I dig that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. We actually basically, other people do it, but Shore Lunch with Nate P runs a pretty successful one. And I kind of just stole what he does. And he does a board meeting. That's going to be coming up soon where we just have a show. We're going to have some listeners actually on the show. We're going to talk about what they want to see, the next quarter. And we're just going to, drink beers or whatever your favorite beverage is and bullshit around. It's awesome. So make sure you guys sign up for that. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes. I probably won't because I'm lazy.
Speaking of show notes, though, if there's a new link, if y'all listen to the episode with John House with Purple Heart Homes, there's a new link. If you want to sign up for that tournament that's coming up in, I believe, June. I did not prepare for this well, but coming up in June, you do not have to fish it if you want to donate to Purple Heart Homes. Go follow that link, sign up, donate your money. It's going to a great cause. Go listen to that episode with John, and it's just a good cause to give to, even if you don't fish.
Listen, we break it down on that episode how much they need, and it's not a crazy amount that they need, but they could possibly get enough donations to get a Purple Heart veteran a tiny home, which would be dope as hell.
That'd be badass.
Check it out.
Speaking of John House, I got to see John's real quick on the tournament. I got to see John did good as shit. the Lake Norman, the Hobie BOS, which coincided with the Queen City kayak fishing on Norman this past weekend. Go to our social medias and you can get my day 1 and day 2 updates. Day 1 was pretty pitiful, and I tried to express that in the voicemails. Day 2 was a little bit better, but it still sucked. But John House finished second. Our man finished second in the Hobie.
Yep.
And the ramp that a ramp that I've only fished this Lake Norman twice, but the first time I fished a ramp Beatty's Ford, and he called me Sunday afternoon and was like, "Hey, just want to let you know I caught all my fish on Beatty's Ford." I was like, fuck that. I was telling people they need to drain Lake Norman, fill it in, and start over, so dig it out, and start over like a shitty pool. But yeah, he did good. We had some others did good.
That continues the everybody gets good luck after they're on the show, except for you. So I'm glad that that's continuing on, Paul.
Yeah, and another shout out. So on the first day, the ramp I put in, let me find where the hell I sent you a text, Alex.
You did.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Ready?
Nick from Wake Forest. I was talking, we were at the ramp. There's a few of us at the ramp, and we're talking. The guy goes, "Huh, that voice, I know that voice." I was like, "Yeah, I'm Paul." He goes, "Oh, Bass and Bruce." And it was so Nick from Wake Forest. It's a kind of a funny how things tie together. He works for Wake Forest football. And, so I played football at Carolina and all this and that stuff, and that was good.
Everybody drink.
But Nick beat me to the spot that I wanted to start at, where I caught a nice spot, and I had to go to spot 2. But Nick, it's good to meet you, buddy. Awesome times. Also, Tyler, met Tyler there. From Triad Spray Foam, Tyler Cross. I can't remember the last name, CR or something. But Tyler we saw a bunch of people. It was a social event for me since my fishing sucked balls.
And then I think last update. So you all know we play this game. You go on to iTunes and you leave a 5-star review, and then you just be as mean as possible in the comments, right? Well, we've got somebody who did not follow the rules properly, and Paul is triggered. So yes. I'm going to read it, and then Paul's going to react. This is from Greenwich Man, and it's titled Worst Quote-Unquote Fishing Podcast. I'd rather get aggressive ear cancer than listen to these two R-word constantly mispronounce words, interrupt each other, and display their piss-poor fishing skills on this podcast. The only saving grace is when a quality guest somehow accepts these idiots' invitation to join.
That's rough.
I feel
That's
like
a rough one.
I feel like he understood half of the assignment, because Greenwich Man, this motherfucker left us 1 star. So Greenwich Man, if you're listening to this podcast, go fix your shit and put it to 5 stars, because you're fucking our shit up.
I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and think that guy might actually not like you guys.
I think that might.
I don't know if you go listen, if you go read the other actual reviews that they are all of that context.
No, I feel like this one was the meanest.
Yeah, I do, but man, look, and Greenwich Man, if you did mean to leave 1 star, go fuck yourself. I hope your kayak sinks or your boat. If you fish and you're in a boat, I hope that bitch sinks. If you're for real.
I love that he put on there that we display our piss poor fishing skills on this podcast. One, it's a fucking podcast.
How do you display fishing skills?
Correct. Is he just like, yep, they mentioned the Texas rig and the Palomar knot 14 times. They must be great. Like, how do you display fishing skill?
I don't know, but the Palomar knot's overrated. Fuck that.
We're also not a fishing podcast. We're a fishing, quote unquote, podcast. So, yeah, as Paul said, go fuck yourself. Hope your boat sinks. I hope your wife leaves you for your brother.
Unless you change it to 5 stars, and then I hope none of that stuff happens.
I hope that your boat doesn't sink, but that your wife still leaves you for your brother. Sorry, bud.
I second that.
It happens.
Yeah, so I think this is the most fishing we're going to cover, because tonight it's spooky time. We're about 6 months away from.
How did this happen? How did that happen? How is this going on right now?
It's the new Mac. It's the new Mac update. So I can also do. Let's see.
Oh, that's why Paul can do it, but I can't because I don't have a Mac. Oh,
there you go.
But why isn't mine doing it?
Have you updated your Mac?
I don't know, but this was happening. Alex kept saying, I'm doing it. And I'm like, dude, I'm not doing anything. I don't know what the hell this shit is about.
We just figured out, if you guys watch on YouTube, when that random thumbs up comes in and then Paul goes, oh, we're live. And I fall for it every time like an idiot. It's a Mac update. Anyways, we're going to be talking folklore.
Hey, real quick.
No,
listen, real quick.
Greenwich Man said you interrupt too much.
Speaking of these updates during tournament day, I'm going to continue to do these.
Yes, please.
In all the tournaments I fish. And I have a local tournament coming up on Jordan Lake this weekend. So I will do these tournaments updates.
Yeah.
I expect Alex to make the really cool social media voiceovers.
And we're
going to make this a thing.
Yeah. My first tournament, which is in May, my first tournament ever. I'm also going to do these voicemail updates because I think Bailey was supposed to do one, but he forgot about it. And he was like, I'm totally going to forget. And I was like, I'll text you in the morning. I texted him in the morning. Yeah. And it was like 2:00. He was like, whoops, I forgot. Like, makes sense.
That boy is like a crack-addled praying mantis when he gets fishing on a tournament day. He's like and you get off the water.
That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. Just crack.
He was also he wasn't in his boat. He was in a Hobie
Outback.
Outback. He said the wind was blowing him all over. So he was trying to win some money and get some points.
Well, here's the deal.
TOC.
I'll call you and give you a tournament update.
Yes. Dude, just send me a text first that you're going to do it, right? So I don't pick it up because Paul got really cranky one of the days and I picked up the phone and he's like, shut off the phone. Or what did he say? Hang up the fucking phone. I'm trying to leave a voicemail. I was like, all right, grumpy pants.
Yeah. No, I'll text you. I'll have to do one of those because I can promise you it's either going to be something along the lines of, boys, I'm cracking their ass. I'll call y'all back later. Or it's going to be like Paul and it's going to be like, I have now rethought every thought that I've ever had up to this point. I'm selling it all and buying golf clubs.
I love it. I'm at the point where I'm going to change my voicemail to be like, hello, this is Bass and Bruce. Are you having a shitty day fishing? Leave a message.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right, so we're going to talk folklore, cryptids, spooky shit. We are also going to have Amandy, the mail lady, is going to be making an appearance. She's putting down the kids right now, but here's what I need from you guys. I told her it's going to be about cryptids. She's going to text me, and when she comes on, we have to start talking crypto. Like talk about Bitcoin and shit, right? 100%. And then, I'm just full on gaslighting her. So when she logs on and she's really confused, I'm like, well, now it's your turn. What's your favorite crypto?
Yeah.
And if she says like, oh, Jersey Devil, I'm going to be like, what are you fucking dumb? We're talking about crypto. We're trying to get rich here.
Dogecoin.
This is awesome.
I need to get a shirt made. It says Dogecoin, you dumbass.
Y'all can tell I have fucked with Alex so much because now he's trying to do the same thing to other people.
Yes.
Bullying other people. You just,
I'm really mad because Drunkwood, what was that, 4 weeks ago when we recorded with him, he texted me and he's like, hey, Paul always gets you. Let's get him. I'm like, okay, what's the plan? And he goes, I'm going to get emotional and talk about how my wife is leaving me. Like that was going to be his prank, was that his wife was leaving him.
That's rough.
But he couldn't do it because he messed up and we had a guest come to the show with a game. He had a game for me and Paul and it was basically guess if these he had a bunch of names and we had to guess if they were actually adult film actresses or not.
Oh, okay.
Mind you, he's saying all of them. And his wife's like right in the other room, and she was not a fan of it.
That's pretty good.
But so Amanda's going to come on. I've also got 2 spooky stories that my kids wrote the last 2 days, and just my youngest one. She goes, "Listen, I took this as I can be violent," and I went with it, and I was like, okay. All right, you little psychopath. Cool. Yeah.
Serial killer. We're gonna put you in the ground like we did OJ earlier today. But anyway, there it is.
Yeah. Rest in peace, OJ. Wait, is it rest in peace? Probably not. Like,
yeah, he murdered those people for sure. It is sad the juice is gone, but he did murder those people.
100%. What happens if his letter on his deathbed was like, "I was just fucking with you guys. I did it." He
wrote a fucking book that said that.
Yeah, like, I didn't do it, but if I did, this is how I do it.
Like it doesn't even have to be in his obituary. He already wrote it while he was still alive.
But let's all be honest. Let's all be honest. Would you guys totally drive an OJ white Bronco?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, that was Kato Kalin's white Bronco. It wasn't OJ's.
Yeah, but he's still
that Bronco. Like, that era of Bronco is the coolest era of Bronco ever. Like, that's it.
That is a badass Bronco, but the Bronco 1 was probably the most badass Bronco.
Yeah, I mean, the old school one. You want to know, fun fact, and then we'll get into the podcast because we're just all over the place.
It's massive, Bruce.
Yeah.
With Rudd. This is what we do.
Yeah. It's a rabbit hole. So, like, everybody has like that one car that if like they hit the lottery, they would buy. And like most people, it's like a McLaren, a Lamborghini, or whatever. Mine, straight up. Every single year I get a brand new, whatever the year model Land Cruiser was, Toyota Land Cruiser. And then I would have also an old school Land Cruiser, like a late 80s, early mid 80s Land Cruiser, like totally redone. But like with the Land Cruiser, that's my, like, if I hit the lottery, that's what I would buy. And for most people, they're like, oh, a Land Cruiser, that's achievable. No, they're not. They're like $150,000.
Yeah, they're fucking crazy.
It's crazy. But anyway,
mine to answer to pile on top of that, mine would be an International Scout 2.
Oh yeah,
those are badass motherfuckers right there.
That's awesome.
I would get a fucking minivan. Because I'm just at that time in my life. I am, what's today? We're recording on the 11th. I turned 40 in like 2 weeks. I want a fucking minivan with that like captain's chair and you know what I mean, and all that shit. And then I can put the kids in the way back.
Bethany keeps saying, she's like, I would look so good in a Toyota Sienna. I was like, we don't even have kids yet. And she's like, I don't care. I want a Toyota Sienna. And I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, we can get you a Toyota Sienna if you want one. I mean, that's pretty cool, I guess.
Alex wants that minivan with a captain's chair because that's the only way he could ever be a captain in real life.
Oh,
yeah.
The man like that.
No, well, no, he's right.
Hey, Rudd, I don't know if you ever get on military TikTok, but they always talk about how the fuck is this guy retiring as an E4? And Alex was like, that's me.
Not an E4, an E6, but yes, I get it. On YouTube, so on the channel, the biggest videos we have on the channel is when the channel was just mine, and the biggest one's about my time in the Coast Guard. And it's like every other comment is like, you retired as an E6, what a waste. And I'm like, cool, bro, how many years did you do? And he goes, oh, I did 3.5 years in the real Coast Guard. I'm like, oh, cool, you didn't even do a full enlistment. Later, like, yeah.
No, I don't get on military TikTok. I get on like war TikTok where it's like Ukraine war, dudes being blown up by like improvised drones.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, have you seen the drone ones where they'll be able to drop that thing and there's like a Russian dude sitting in a trench and the dude just takes his little DJI drone and just drops that thing like in his lap. It is fucking crazy.
Yeah, like, and that's the first one I ever saw. I was sitting there, I'm like, what the hell am I looking at? And then I see that thing fall and I just see body parts and I'm like, oh, that was a person.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So we're getting to see war on social media. So that's what that's like.
War is bad, obviously, but their use of technology, using these drones that are like super cheap is really smart. They're also using like the Steam Deck. Do you know what that is? It's like a video game console. It's basically like a handheld PC though. That runs on Linux, and they're able to, via Wi-Fi, control 50 cal turrets with a spotting camera on it. They can be like a mile away, and they're able to control these turrets around these cities using basically like a Nintendo Switch console where they can see the video and just light people up using the little triggers. It's insane.
Here's the deal. Here's what's going to happen. Someone's going to figure out how to throw some AI on that thing, and then bum, 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 bum. Here comes the Terminator.
We're done. We're done.
That's it. Yeah.
Hey, when you said the Steam Deck, I was thinking something way different than war TikTok. I thought we were getting into porn talk with the Steam Deck. You've never had you've never given or had a Steam Deck?
Look, educate, because you educated us a couple of weeks ago about shrimping. Why don't you educate us on this one?
Well, I don't want to get into it too deep because people weren't too excited about listening to 15 minutes of shrimping.
That is true. That was more comments about people throwing up that we've had in a long time.
Anyway, let's go back to war talk. All I'm saying is that if you ever come to my house, I got a lot of bird houses about eye level.
What does that mean?
Little Alex has no idea, tall Alex, about what birdhouses and self-defense of their homestead means.
You'd fill a birdhouse full of tannerite and just make sure they're head level. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, that's sneaky. All right.
And that is why I'm on a watch list somewhere. Anyway, all right. So cryptids. Let's talk about
this is why Rudd is the new Madden. He cannot fly anymore. He can only drive.
That's right. That's why Rudd does not fly. Hey, we need you in Texas. All right, see y'all in 18 hours. We'll get you a flight. No. Don't worry.
Hey, have you lost your drone privileges yet? Or are you still being able to fly a drone?
I got a letter from the FAA. But
yeah, we talked about that a while. We talked about that. You got the letter.
Yeah. My drone's in the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. I need to replace it.
Nice.
Yeah, I lost it a couple of years ago and just not replaced it yet. But no, I got a letter from the FAA because I overrode. I don't know how you would do
overflow.
Whatever.
Overflow.
No, like I did. It gave me the prompt, and I was like, I don't care, and I flew it over a TVA dam.
Yeah,
that's a no-go.
Yep.
And so they were like, yeah, here's a letter. If you ever do this again, we will take everything that you own. And I was like, okay, so don't do that again. Check. Got it. All right.
But they didn't say you couldn't put a grenade on it.
Yeah, you got home as like, hey, Bethany, just so you know, the boat is in your name now.
That's right. Listen, there's a reason Alex Redhead Fishing LLC is not owned by moi. But anyway, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
All right. So this episode is coming around because, well, one, we had a Bigfoot researcher on. And leading up to that, I mentioned, like, I just want to sit around and talk cryptids. And Rudd was like, I'm down. I'm game. And that's what we're going to fucking do tonight. We're going to do it kind of regionally since Paul's in the Carolinas. Rudd's out in Tennessee. Amanda's going to cover New Jersey. And then I'm going to cover some Washington State.
Before we get started, and I know Amandy's not here, but we'll get her input after we talk about crypto. I want to know, all three of us, what are you? Are you a skeptic or are you a believer? And I'll start because I'm a skeptic. Most of the cryptids, I believe, are not real. And the one or two that potentially are real aren't real anymore, but were. Like Bigfoot, for instance, I do believe that potentially back in the day, tens of thousands of years ago, there was a big bipedal apoid in North America. I do not believe they're here anymore. So I'm a 100% skeptic. I'm not a believer. Rudd, what are you on the cryptids?
I want to believe that a lot of them are real. I believe, like Bigfoot, I'm on line with you with the Bigfoot thing. Is that it definitely 100% scientifically has been proven was a real ape. It's called Gigantopithecus. It was a giant. They don't know if it was bipedal, but from what they can tell, I mean, it was a giant ape that lived in North America. I mean, so we did at some point have a giant great ape that lived in North America. So that's true. Same with all the rest of these like cryptids all around the world. I think the one thing that I keep holding on to is that like there's two things that keeps me holding on to Bigfoot specifically, or Sasquatch, or whatever you want to call it. The first one is orangutans. Orangutans are fascinating, to say the least, and we'll get into it more in the podcast, but orangutans are extremely intelligent and have been shown and been tracked where they'll literally like dust their own footprints as they're walking so they can't be tracked. And like, so this is an extremely, extremely intelligent animal that we know is real, but we have a very, 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 very hard time of actually even seeing in the wild because of the low population density and how smart they are.
Have y'all seen the TikTok of the orangutan that they gave him a juice box?
And he wanted another one? Yeah.
And no. They gave him a juice box, or her. They gave it a juice box.
Yeah.
It took the straw off the juice box. It took the straw out of the packet. It put the straw in its mouth to wet it before it put it into the juice box. and then drank the juice box.
That's better than my
dude.
I
never in my entire fucking life have I thought about wetting the straw before I tried to jam it into the little.
They're smart. They're spearfishing now too.
Yeah.
So they have photographic.
They're using tools. Yeah.
Yeah, they're spearfishing. The second thing that holds me on to the existence of something like that is kind of twofold. The first fold is we didn't discover the silverback gorilla or confirm its existence until the 80s. But you didn't know that. The 80s, y'all. Like the 80s.
There were some Spaniards that came down the west coast of Africa that encountered gorillas and killed them back in the 1500s.
Yes, but it was only ever written in a book. Like we have pictures. Like they're going, this giant ape thing come out of the woods and attacked us, and it looked like a person. And like the drawings that they had have these upright standing creatures attacking them out of the woods. But we didn't confirm their existence till the 80s, which is crazy.
And that was Gorillas in the Mist, right? What was her name? Like Jane something, I think.
Jane Goodall. Yeah. And then that kind of plays into the fact that like people do not, and I don't even think that we can truly comprehend how much wild space there is in British Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are literally parts of British Columbia that a human has never touched with their foot ever. It's just that dense of jungle. Same thing with South Africa. There's South and Central Africa are parts like that. Down in South America, parts of Asia. I mean, think about China. Like we as Westerners, we can't go to China. And there's parts of China that people have never even seen because it has been in the control of China since literally almost prehistory. And so like, there's just, to me, there's so much, like, I feel like we want to feel like we've touched everything as humans, but the truth is we've not. And then there's the ocean, and that's a whole nother.
We can't even get into that because that's a whole different animal. That's
my kind of stance on it. And then there's the whole thing about like the passing in between dimensions, spiritual world, all that stuff. We won't even get into that tonight, but like that is.
Oh, I'm getting into it.
Okay,
what I'm covering has to deal with that.
Okay, well then that's its whole own thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like demons and manifesting themselves as certain creatures. And we go down that rabbit hole. I'll go with it with y'all. But there you go. But anyway, that's where I fall.
Well, I think all of this can be either like
Alex, skeptic or believer.
I'm basically like I want to believe. There are some so I'm going to talk about a Native American cryptid / folklore, right? And a lot of those I fully believe in, but I believe that they were just misinterpreted. So like the Thunderbird, huge in Northwest Native American folklore, but all it is a bald eagle. It's a giant bald eagle, or it could have been a condor because a lot of those. Yeah,
I would say that it's not a bald eagle. It's more likely in the Northwest would be a golden eagle because they are bigger than a bald eagle. And they're more scavenger.
Dude, I saw one the other day because we've got some golden eagles here in Tennessee. Like we literally, me, Josh, and John all commented. We were like, my God, that's a big bird. Because it went to fly. And I mean, its wingspan was 8 feet. I mean, it was enormous. Like we were all like, wow. And I literally made the comment. I was like, it's a thunderbird. Like, because I knew that cryptic story. And they were like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, Native Americans. They said it was giant eagles. And I'm like, well, there it is right there. I mean, they're just freaks, you know? Like,
when I was a wildland firefighter,
everybody
drink. Down in South Carolina at Savannah River site,
amen.
They did a bunch of coyote studies down there, and they ended up having they would have these feral pigs that they killed, and they stake them out to get the coyotes come in and doing their bullshit, whatever the fuck they were doing. Anyway, they had for 2 or 3 years in a row, they had a pair of golden eagles in South Carolina. Near the Aiken Augusta area, that came for 2 or 3 years in a row, and they had them on video. And one of the guys was a big birder, Mark. And when they saw him, Mark was like, "Holy shit, this is crazy!" And so they were showing us pictures of these big birds, and they were just scavenging the damn dead pig out there. It's pretty easy, pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I do think that some of it is just mistaken, but I guess like everybody here, I know some of them aren't real, but I really like them all. Like I do think Bigfoot is still out there. I think
I don't believe the only way somebody can change my belief of any of these animals or creatures existing is if I see one that's not some grainy ass fucking stupid grainy ass video.
I have a
or
clear picture
photo.
for you, Paul. There it is, right there. There's the clear picture, Paul.
Too bad that's in a movie.
Hey, did you, Rudd? Did you listen to our Bigfoot episode? It's okay if you didn't.
I've not. No, I've not.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So
here's
some
evidence.
evidence.
The red eye.
I'm going to though, because I didn't know you boys were having that guy on, and I got to listen to that. Like that sounds right up my alley. Yeah.
So here's a piece of evidence he showed us, and this is a bear with wasting disease.
Yeah.
Right. And then here, the mange, and then here you're going to see an ape, and then on the right hand side is footage taken from a trail cam in northern Jersey. And so with this footage, like on that episode, we've specifically said, me and Paul are both like, yeah, it looks the same. It's an ape. And then he's like, are there a lot of apes in North Jersey in the woods? Yeah, fuck yeah, you're right. There's not a lot. So why would that be in there, right? That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
I got a story for y'all.
Interesting. Yes.
I got a story for y'all, because this one, whenever you want to get into it, I'll tell it. But like this one was from my dad, and my dad did not believe.
Let's get into it now. No better way to start.
100%.
So this is a story my dad told me. My dad is gone now, but this is a story that he told me with consistency. Like it never changed every time I ever heard him tell this story. And this is here's the wildest part about the whole story will conglomerate down to this point where you're going to go, holy crap. So anyway, so my dad used to fish a bunch of tournaments, fish a bunch of knot tournaments when I was a kid. And he was fishing with a buddy of his named Lee. And they were fishing a knot tournament on Norris Lake, which is the closest lake to me. It's a giant lake that backs up to a giant piece of state land called Chuck Swan. And it's enormous. It's like one of the biggest pieces of state land in Tennessee. And then, a lot of the rest of it is just hardwoods and private land. And it's just a lot of it's untouched. Like it's just a big swath of untouched land. And this is back, early 2000s, late 90s time frame. I think it was like early 2000s, 2001, 2002, somewhere around there, if I remember correctly. But they're not fishing in this tournament. And so they're going way back up into this creek. And so on Norris, there's these big creeks that have literal springs dumping in the back of them. Well, that's something you go and do in the summers, fish those springs at night, because the bass will pull up in those springs. So they're fishing, and they got the black lights out, obviously, so they can see their fishing line, and they're fishing. And Dad says that, like everything's kind of normal. Water's running. There's a bunch of bugs. Everything's making noises. Everything's going. And then it just and he was like, just noticed it. Like that was kind of strange. Like that's not normal for bugs. All this stuff just quit making noises.
That gave me goosebumps. That'd be so creepy.
Oh,
that'd
yeah.
So fucking creepy.
And like when my dad would tell me this story, like for people that don't know my dad, just not like this is my dad's a hard ass. Like he was a hard dude, grew up a hard life. He had seen some shit, abusive household. Like nothing gets my dad riled up, really. You know what I mean? And so like this for him, every time he would tell this story, he would get goosebumps. Like it freaked him out that bad. So he said, everything goes quiet. Well, him, consummate outdoorsman, been outside all his whole life, hunt, fish, everything since he was a kid, spent, thousands of hours in the woods. He kind of starts just examining the woods around him, trying to figure out, is it a bobcat? Is it, it's a bear, because we've got all those things here. Well, he says he's kind of scanning the woods, and he says behind a tree about, 50 yards up in the woods is just this enormous grayish white figure just standing there. And I go, well, could you see its face? He said, I couldn't see anything. He said, it's just this enormous grayish white figure. He said, it had to be 8-9 foot tall. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. I'm like, what is it? He's like, I don't know. He said, so I just go, I think it's somebody screwing with us. And I'm like, okay. And he said, so he's like, hey, what are you doing, man? Get out of here. And he's like processing it in his brain, like we're 25 miles from the nearest road. Like we are in the stark middle of freaking nowhere. And he's like, this is really weird. Like and he's like, hey man, get out of here. Get out. What are you doing, man? Quit fucking with us like that. He's trying to get this, whatever this is out of there. Cause he thinks it's a person screwing with him. And he said, when he kind of really started to raise his voice and it got like to the point where it's like anger, He said on like the blink of an eye, this thing turns and just clears out the woods. Like he said, snapping stuff out of its way, just straight up the woods. He looks at his buddy Lee and says, "No, we're not doing this. Sit down." They leave out of there. And I'm like, that's the craziest story that my dad ever told me as far as like just crazy crap that he saw. Here's where it gets insane. So I'm big into cryptozoology. I love to listen to cryptozoology. A lot of people probably listen to Sasquatch Hunter. I think that's what the podcast is called, or Finding Sasquatch, or whatever it is. I got it saved, but it's like the biggest Bigfoot podcast. Let me confirm the name real quick and I'll try to find the episode and send it. Sasquatch Chronicles. So Sasquatch Chronicles. It's a huge podcast. So I'm listening to the Sasquatch Chronicles driving down the road one day. And it gets me every time. This lady calls in because they have a call-in system. The lady calls in and tells a story about the early 2000s as she's driving near Norris Lake in Tennessee, and a large grayish white figure runs across the road.
No way. No fucking way.
I had to pull over on the side of the road and call my dad. I go, "You are never going to believe this." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "There's a lady on Sasquatch Chronicles that said she saw a giant grayish white figure run across the road near Norris Lake about the same time you said you saw yours." And he's like, "There ain't no way." And so I sent it to him and let him listen to it. But I don't know, bro. I don't know what that is. Right? You know what I mean? And so I don't know. Is that Bigfoot? Is that Sasquatch? Is that something else? Is it some kind of manifestation? And I mean, to go down the rabbit hole even more, we're really close to Oak Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
And Oak Ridge, for you guys that don't know, that listen to the podcast, it's where they enrich the uranium for the atomic bomb that we dropped on Japan. In Oak Ridge, they call it the Secret City. Well, after their enrichment of the uranium, Oak Ridge kept operating as the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. That's the DOJ or the DOD.
DOE.
Or DOE.
Yeah, because where I worked in South Carolina was Savannah River site, which is where they stored all the plutonium.
Yep.
Matter of fact, there's a couple airplanes buried out there and pieces that were part of all that stuff. So yeah, Department of Energy.
And so, in fun fact about Department of Energy, it's the only department of the federal government that does not have a budget. Well, they've kept operating out there. We have a miniature hadron collider out there. We have all kinds. Dude, let's just put it this way. A lot of people I know work out there. I've got family that works out there. They will tell you that they can't talk about it, but there is stuff going on out there that would blow our minds. And so all of that in correlation with things that have been seen around here and things that happen over Oak Ridge, I don't know, bro. Here we go.
My favorite though is Dogecoin.
Yeah,
that is the one. Yeah, that Dogecoin is the one that I thought a couple years ago was going to be the shit, and I'm a little wrong on that.
Well, I'm still holding on to a lot of my crypto because I think it's really going to pay off in the end. It's one of those things that when you really look at the market and bands like Avenged Sevenfold, I went and seen them last week. They're doing a lot in the Ethereum world, and I hold some Ethereum. I think it's probably going to be the most successful of the coins out of all of them, even though, you're seeing stuff like Bitcoin is blowing up right now and it's doing really, really well.
Bitcoin is the one that stood the test of time up to this point. It was the first. It was the one that started everything.
Yeah.
And all these other cryptos have bounced off of it and done that shit.
Hey, so we've got Amanda, the mail lady, was able to join us. Amanda, thanks for joining in on our crypto episode. So to clue you in before, we're just on the basics. So if you want to give, we've already given ours. What's your favorite cryptocurrency?
What the? Oh, Jesus Christ. I got to deal with this at work with the crazy guy. I don't want to talk about cryptocurrency.
That's what the episode is, babe. I said we're doing a crypto episode.
No, you didn't.
That's what I'm here for. I'm the crypto expert. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. I hold 2 Bitcoin.
You guys are ridiculous.
Wow. All right. Well,
I don't give a shit about crypto.
Why the fuck you on this podcast tonight then?
Huh?
Alex made me do fucking research for this podcast. I had to actually go look up crypto shit. And not only that, he reminded me yesterday. He texted me and says, "Hey, have you done your crypto research?" And I'm like, "Are we fucking for real?" And he goes, "Yeah." So today I'm driving down the road doing the finding crypto shit and making it read it out on my phone.
What do you think we're talking about?
Yeah.
What do you think we're talking about, Amanda?
I was told cryptids.
No, I told you crypto.
Oh, you're so full of shit, you son of a bitch.
Dude, we can't even rattle her, son. No, we're talking about cryptids. You're right. You're right. We're trying to jack with you. But yeah. Hi, how are you?
I'm alive.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
That's me. That was when they took me to jail. That's when I flew that drone over that dam. That's what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Look out here.
We did go off on a rabbit hole, and I want to. All right. So you talked about the colliders over there, right, at Oak Ridge. All right. So me and Amanda are watching Oppenheimer, and it comes up to we took a little break, and I was like, hey. I don't know how they did this. And I know we have colliders. I don't know what they do. I know they do stuff and they're important, but it's one of those things where for me, my smooth brain doesn't understand it. And I just I don't understand how nuclear fission works. I know of it, right? But in practical terms, I don't know how they do that shit.
I know that they opened up a black hole for 15 minutes out there in Oak Ridge. A miniature black hole. I can
last week?
No, a couple years ago.
So that's how COVID started.
Yeah, probably. I actually
now we're demonetized.
And now Amandy, the mail lady, is no longer part of this podcast.
Assault weapons, COVID. What else can I say? Democrats are bad. Joe Biden sucks. All right, now we're definitely demonetized.
Yeah. We did talk about grenades landing in people's laps.
100%. No, but so I actually had a professor in college. He was a physics professor. The dude was so freaking smart, you couldn't have a conversation with him. But he worked on the collider out there. And I had him explain to me 30,000 foot view of I'm like, how does it work? Well, he starts down this route. I'm like, whoa, back it up, Captain. I was like, I need it in stupid. And he's like, okay. So essentially what they do is they supercharge. I'm going to probably get this wrong. They supercharge an atom. And by supercharging that atom, they can make that atom what?
Deacon? Adam Deacon?
Yes, they supercharge Deacon. They supercharge an atom. And the atom, when it's supercharged like that, can go near the speed of light. So if it were to go the speed of light, it could break stuff. Break space-time continuum. I have no idea. But they get it near the speed of light, so almost to the speed of light, and they essentially run it into a wall that's made out of negatively charged ions or atoms. And that collision, i.e. why they call it a collider, that collision does things. And they've discovered elements. They discovered an element out in Oak Ridge, a brand new element. They call it element the Tennessee element or whatever, because they discovered it out there. But one of these experiments, when that thing collided, it ripped a hole in space-time, folded it like theory of relativity, and poked a hole, and there was a miniature black hole, and then it closed back up.
Maybe that's where all of Paul's fish went to. When he fished that tournament. Maybe
if those fish went into a fucking black hole, then I admit defeat 100%, because if they went there, then they deserve not to get caught. Those fucking Lake Norman fish are blind. That's all I got to say.
I've got so many
got one eye.
I got so many one-liners. Did you know that there's another collider being built in Tennessee also?
Really?
That's the Morgan Waller collider when he chucks chairs at fucking atoms.
You know they got him on felonies?
Yeah, three.
Yeah.
Felonies. Bro, that's so ORNL team, which is Oak Ridge National Lab, is officially recognized for elements 115 and 117.
Did you say asshole lab?
No.
Asshole, yeah, asshole lab. Yes. Oak Ridge National Lab, not Asshole Lab. I've been to one of those. Anyway,
asshole lab.
Yeah, listen. When I worked at the hospital, I went in the asshole lab a couple times.
Yeah, I'm sure you saw quite a few asshole labs.
GIs. That's exactly what that is. But anyway, so fun fact about element 115 is actually the element that Bob Lazar said that they discovered at Area 51 previously before it was proven to actually be a real element by Oak Ridge, and he said that's what powered the alien spaceships that they were working on. And so it wasn't until 2016 the element 115 was actually verified by Oak Ridge National Labs, and that's the element that Bob Lazar for years and years and years said existed that they said did not exist, and so it actually does exist. It's element 115.
That is fucking spooky. All that's really weird.
I've talked too much. I'm going to let y'all go now. But
no, you're good. That's great.
This. Like this is. Yeah, I got all this. I'm full of useless facts.
Look how giddy Alex Rudd had been this giddy on this podcast since forever.
Hey, do this.
Like this is the one Bass and Brews episode that he's super excited to be here on and just didn't show up out of guilt.
Until I clip it and he gets all the internet hate because I clip it out of context.
We get 2 million views again on pro bass fishing ain't pro bass fishing.
Bass fishing ain't a sport if you're mowing lawns.
Yeah, if you got to cut grass on your off days, you ain't a professional angler. It's one of the best ever.
Hey, you know what? But I have to say, on that vein of thought, congratulations to my boy Justin Hamner. Doesn't have to mow a yard a day in his life because he won the Bassmaster Classic. So go Hamner.
That's an actual pro. There he is.
The champion has a name. And
he graduated. He is now a true pro. He has graduated. Right. He got his degree.
Yep, absolutely. All right, I'm done.
All right, we're gonna. I already prepped him, Amanda, that you were super excited and did a whole bunch of research. But before we get to that, our 8-year-old would like everybody to hear a story, and it's called The Sandman.
Oh, exit light. There you go.
I have not heard this yet.
Yep. Once upon a time, Sandman was born. His mother didn't like him, so she threw him in a hole of sand. He got really mad. Then he started hurting his mom. And then he ate a bunch of children. So next time you smell salt water, the Sandman's going to be there.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I dig it. I'm down with it.
That sounds like some shit I say when I get drunk on the internet at 12 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And then she also has the Death Star, is a star that blows people up and kills them.
That's okay.
That's a good
That's
star.
the Death Star.
It looks like a high star is what that looks like.
Yeah, why is his eye so red?
Because it's a Death Star.
Yeah, he is baked. He is baked out of his mind.
He is fentanyled up. He's fentanyled up just killing stars. So
that old boy, he got some of that good Tennessee fentanyl, and he is just out there, just the destroyer of worlds.
Do you want to know why that Tennessee fentanyl is good? Because it's got collider dust in it. It's got element 115 in it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
All right, Amanda, what are you bringing to the show? What do you got for us?
Oh, okay.
Oh, first you have to answer. Paul asked all of us, are you a skeptic, a believer, or a non-believer of cryptids and all this creepy stuff?
Depending on what it is, I could go either way.
Nope, that's just not how we do on Bass and Brews. You have to answer the fucking question. We don't do iffies. It's one or the other. You got to choose skeptic
I can
or
if
believer.
If I want.
Listen, Amanda,
Whoa.
this isn't college. You can't go both ways.
Whoa.
God.
Whoa.
Oh.
Whoa.
God, you're an idiot.
Short too.
Can't do Johnny and Jill. I need one or the other. Let's go.
Yeah, you got to pick. Are you a believer? Are you? So you're saying some of them you don't believe in, but some of them you do.
Okay. Let me list a couple. You go yes or no. Aliens.
There you go.
Yes.
Jersey Devil.
Yes.
Sasquatch.
Yes.
Giant squid.
Yeah.
Fairies.
No.
Fae folk.
Fairy folk.
Fae folk. It's a whole different thing.
Nah.
Gnomes?
No.
Bigfoot.
What's the last one?
Bigfoot.
Isn't that Sasquatch?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Transgenders.
Oh God.
Hey, how about leprechauns? Speaking
No.
of vampires, I'm almost finished rewatching True Blood. And
It's so
man,
bad.
that is
It's
so good.
Bad. It's so
Such
bad.
a
I
good
just
show.
had this conversation with Amanda because I work at home.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of TV. I can't get through True Blood because it's a piece of shit. It is sex trash.
It was good when it first came out, but then it went way off the books, like because I read the books. So
what about werewolves?
Books. You know what?
What
That's
about
where you
werewolves,
fuck up
Amanda?
by reading the books and then
By
watching
reading?
the
so
movie.
much better.
Well, if you don't read the books, the shows and the movies are always good. Fuck them books.
Were you Team Edward or Team Jacob?
Edward.
I know you
But
were.
that's not True Blood.
It's the
Vampire Diaries is
Right.
better than whatever y'all are talking about.
Look at Rudd. He's like, what the fuck?
There's something wrong with y'all. I don't. I've got nothing. I literally would have something smart ass to say, but I know so little about anything with vampires or Twilight or any of that. I literally have nothing smart ass to say about.
Look, we have stumped Alex Rudd twice on this podcast talking about Vampire Diaries and True Blood and stuff like that. And the other one was when he had to decide between KY, Astroglide, or Vaseline.
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, I'm skipping that one."
I was like, I'm just gonna leave that one.
Behind the scenes, I got so many comments of like, why didn't you force him to answer? You make him answer. There's none of this wishy-washy bullshit. Make him answer.
It's like you pin Rudd down and try to make him answer. I wouldn't. Like,
It ain't happening. He's slippery. He's slippery, but he won't tell me what the substance is.
I'm like a 3-step guy, son. Listen, you can't get me. Let's go.
Oh shit, you guys.
All right, Amandy, what's your crypto story we got here? Who are we talking about?
Well, of course, where I'm at, where I grew up, we're talking about the Jersey Devil.
Hell yeah.
So,
One of my favorites.
grew up 10 miles from where the Jersey Devil happened.
Can I get a Jersey accent through this whole entire story though?
No, because I'm not North Jersey. I'm South Jersey. Big difference.
Well,
I'm
they
not
say
gonna
the
talk like
word-
one of them.
I will have to say it came out there though because I said, "Can I get a Jersey accent?" And you're like, "I'm not North Jersey, I'm South Jersey." Yeah, like, here it was like damn.
Amanda,
No.
what's
What?
that wet substance that we need to drink for life?
Water. What?
Water.
Water. Gotta give me
Water.
some
Water.
water.
WUDDER. Water.
No, WOODER. Water.
Water. We're gonna get in
Water.
the car. We're gonna go get in the car and go buy us a pack of water. Anyway, go.
Absolutely not.
That's it.
We
That's
say
it.
water down here. We don't say water. We say water.
Water. Don't make me do my
Coffee.
Minnesota. Oh, hey there, how you doing? You want to go get a patty? Oh yeah, yeah. A little stick nut? Gonna go whip some shitties. All right. Oh, okay. Go on with your story then. There.
Okay.
Alex Rudd's 5th appearance, he decides to do impressions.
I know.
Pretty good Donald Trump too. It's gonna be huge. Huge. It's the greatest story ever told. Amandy, go on with your story. I want to hear it. It's the best story I've ever heard.
I can't even say what that sounds like.
It's horrible. I know.
Yeah, it is terrible. I can't even say what it
See my
sounds like.
John Wayne.
God.
Listen here, Pilgrim. All right, I'm done.
Mom always said life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
But thankfully, Alex has changed my accent slightly, so I don't say water anymore. I actually do say water.
Water. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I used to say water all the time. Sometimes it creeps back in, but
How you
I-
say OIL?
Me or her?
oil?
Okay. How you say OIL, Rudd?
Oh.
There he goes. Oh,
Sound. Oh.
oh.
I need to get some.
Give
Oh.
me some. I need a Crown Roll and Coke.
Crown roll. Right there.
I think
Anyway,
you
I'm
guys
sorry.
are the fucking cryptids, basically.
Listen. All I'm saying is you never saw me and Sasquatch in the same room. Go on. I'm sorry. Here, I got to get my little Thank you, Drunkwood. I'll have him now the rest of the night. There's my little buddy here. I don't know how to set him up where he can be seen.
Just got to hold him all day.
He's in the beard.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
I said, "Oh wow!" That carries his head right there.
That's what she said.
Hey! That's what I'm talking
All right,
about.
Amanda.
All right, I'm sorry.
The New Jersey Devil.
The New Jersey Devil.
We don't say that down here. We say Jersey Devil.
Okay, well, can we talk about it?
All right, so now, as a kid, the story we were always told locally, because I grew up 10 miles from where the Jersey Devil was born. So we were told as a kid that on a very dark, stormy night, Mother Leeds, who already had 12 children, was going into labor with her 13th child. And she cursed the baby and said, "Let this one be a devil." So as the baby came out, it came out as with a horse body, bat wings, horse hooves for the legs, like horse legs with the hooves, claws for hands, a dog's head, but with a horse's face.
After 12 kids, the 13th probably felt like that.
God.
And then it flew out the window.
Exactly. After 12 kids, the 13th just
It's gonna
pops right
fly
on out
right
like a fucking ping pong ball shooting out of the butthole.
2 minutes of labor. That was it. Just
Oh.
Now, some tales say the baby was born completely normal, and then after a few minutes, it then transformed into the devil and went out the chimney.
okay.
After it murdered the whole family. But when you're a kid growing up, they don't tell you it murdered the whole family, just that it flew out the window. So the Jersey Devil doesn't kill or hurt people, but it will eat your livestock. So it will eat your chickens, your pigs, your cows, and it will terrorize your whole neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a bunch of people that have claimed to have seen the Jersey Devil flying around, attacking their livestock, normal stuff, feeling like when they're out in the Pine Barrens, because that's where we live, the Pine Barrens. And we'll follow you. Some have heard it screeching or screaming.
What does it sound like? Can you give us a...
I don't know. Nobody can ever really describe this sound, but just that it's just this weird scream.
What do you think it... do the sound that you think it makes.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, brother?
Not you, Rudd. I need Amandy. I need Amandy to do the sound that she thinks it sounds like.
I have no idea. I've never heard it. I couldn't tell you.
Just make something up and make a sound that you think the Jersey's...
I don't know.
It sounds like a fucking rooster. What is it, Mike Vick?
It's a Polly Shore rooster.
Bangarang Rufio.
I don't know.
Just runs out. I'm the Jersey Devil. Woo! Just runs off again.
I gotta go get in the water.
So, some famous sightings was Joseph Bonaparte, Napoleon's brother, owned an estate in Bordentown, New Jersey, which is north of here. And he said he saw it while he was hunting. In the winter of 1909, that's when the Jersey Devil exploded and was seen all over New Jersey, all over Pennsylvania, all over Delaware, Maryland, and New York. And supposedly he attacked like tram cars and a whole bunch of people.
And then 10 years later, Prohibition started.
Yes.
Listen.
There were also stories where like some commander back in the early 1600s or no 1700s saw a weird thing flying in the sky. So it was a Jersey Devil, and he was at a cannonball manufacturing plant down here in South Jersey. Tried to shoot a bunch of cannons at it, couldn't hit it.
God, I wish how are we going to solve this problem, Bill? We are going to shoot cannonballs at it.
Yes.
Yes.
Listen, America's had rednecks all throughout time. That's the
Forever.
solution. I don't see something in the sky. Fucking
They
shoot a
did say up
cannonball
in
at it.
Bristol, PA, when they had a sighting, a bunch of cops shot their guns at the sky trying to shoot the Jersey Devil down, but they couldn't get it.
I mean, like,
This is why
number one problem solver. How are we going to fix this? We are going to shoot it. Yes.
But this is why none of that shit is real, because if it was, one of these motherfuckers would have killed it.
Ow.
No, it's got bat-like wings. It can fly all over the place super fast.
Dude,
And
this
it's got
cryptid
red
is
eyes,
built.
so we can
This
see in the dark
cryptid
really well.
This cryptid is built like a meth head at a Build-A-Bear. It's
Bitch,
got
we got
fucking
motherfuckers we got people sniping people 2 miles away, and you telling me they can't hit the fucking New Jersey Devil because it's got bat wings?
But a lot of it, when they tried to shoot it down or anything, was within the 1700s.
Interdimensional.
And then in the early 1900s, when it had exploded, they still couldn't aim. And they were in Pennsylvania anyway, so they can't aim for shit. So
I think those boys in Philly are doing pretty good at aiming people.
Is the New Jersey Devil a male or a female?
Male.
Oh, yeah.
So is there a female Jersey Devil?
No.
So there's just one Jersey Devil?
Yep, just one.
So the only sex he gets is with the farm animals before he eats it then?
Possibly. We don't know how he gets off.
I love how serious the answer was. Possibly.
Yeah. Hey, Amanda, what would be Jersey Devil style?
What do you mean?
Well, dogs have a certain style. We learned on that episode that Bigfoot.
That one either.
we learned that
it's got a horse's body, so it's got a horse's dick. That's the only thing I can.
Whoa. Whoa.
Hold on. I like how both of you are like,
Big old
whoa,
floppy dome,
whoa.
huh?
That's too far. Paul talked about shrimping for fucking 30 minutes 2 weeks ago.
But I will add some more context to this history of it. Ben Franklin comes into play here in a little bit. So back in this part of the East Coast, the Northeast, there was a lot of Quakers that came over and they settled the area. So the Leeds family were very much in the Quaker society, and that's the religion that they followed. Well, Daniel Leeds, the matriarch, back in the late 1600s, came up with his own almanac. And in his almanac, he put a lot of astrology, and the Quakers were like, that's pagan. We can't have that. That's blasphemous. That's devil.
Pagan or pagan?
Pagan.
Hey, you said pagan.
She definitely said pagan.
And then I was like, that's the
like number.
That's
I don't know what number I'm on. I lost count.
So to answer your question, short Alex, the New Jersey Devil style is pagan.
It's pagan. It's pagan. Pagan.
Anyway, go on.
So because their family, the Leeds family, was very prominent in the area, they got a lot of slack for it, and the Quakers were like, no, you can't talk this shit, and then started calling them devil worshippers. So they also think that was one of the reasons why they started the whole Jersey Devil
to show that the Leeds were
is because they were saying the Leeds were devil worshippers because they used astrology in their almanacs. So then Daniel Leeds dies and his son takes over the almanac. Well, Ben Franklin at the time had the Poor Richard's Almanac. So their two almanacs were in direct competition with each other in this area down here. So from Philadelphia to South Jersey, Delaware, I guess all New Jersey, I don't know. It was a colony at that time. So they were in direct competition with each other. So Ben Franklin started some shit with the Leeds family and started calling them ghosts.
I'm going to start using that in arguments. Like, no, fuck you. You're wrong. You're a ghost.
Yes. So, and Ben Franklin, with his astrology and his...
Just got to be careful with that one. Go on.
Predicted,
really careful with that one.
predicted Titan Leeds' death. And Titan Lead was like, no, I didn't die. And Ben Franklin was like, oh, you're a ghost writing your almanac from, after you died to tell me this. So there was a lot of bullshit going on between the two. And so they really say that brings it back to why the Jersey Devil was really born, was because the Quakers didn't like them because They use astrology. But in South Jersey, mother leads, had a baby, and it turned into the devil.
Ben Franklin was a great statesman, but he also fucked everybody else's wife.
Yes. Yeah.
And he loved
I hope
he might have been the father of the 13th kid.
He could have been, because he had sex with a lot of women.
I also hope that Ben Franklin fucks that guy's wife that gave us that 1-star review.
I hope his ghost does it.
Yeah.
But it also has something to do with
I'm a ghost.
Yeah.
the Leeds family crest looks like a devil, like what the Jersey Devil kind of looks like. It's one of those weird dragons with wings, clawed hands, and so they just associated the Leeds family crest with the Jersey Devil.
Oh, fuck, it is. That's really weird.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and apologize right now to everybody. I did not write a fucking thesis like Amandy did. Holy shit.
Yeah.
We've got dates and I mean,
Revolutionary War.
Yeah. Hey, Amanda, so we live next to a road called Jimmy Leeds Road, obviously named after somebody in the Leeds family.
Possibly,
right?
Yeah.
So how come there's not a fucking Jersey Devil themed everything on that? Like hey, welcome to Jersey Devil Wawa. Welcome to Jersey Devil Pizza Hut. Like,
well, you got the Jersey Devil ice hockey team that sucks.
We don't associate it with that because that's North Jersey.
Well, I heard this theory one time. Speaking of devil, you get like Devil's Canyon, Devil this, Demon Road, whatever. Like, and there's a lot of that throughout the country. And like, I heard a theory once that like that comes from Native Americans, that like those would be places that's how they would translate to English, is like that's just like a bad place. Like, don't go there.
Yeah.
And like going back to my dad, another story he told me one time was like walking into certain areas of the woods and just like it's like you walk in there and you're like, I don't belong here.
Something feels weird.
Yeah, I don't need to be here. And it's like, I truly believe there's just like evil areas, like areas where I don't know what it is, bad stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like you go to Gettysburg. Like Gettysburg is just, you can just feel like, it's like almost you could feel that, like just the, it's like,
or Lizzie Borden's house.
Something like that. It's like evil. And it's like, you can't convince me that, especially like Lizzie Borden or some other psychopathic, like where someone killed a bunch of people, that there's not something really wrong there. You know what I mean? That's not just like mental illness. Like there's a certain level of like where you've chopped enough people up where it's like we've passed the human part of this and we get into something completely different,
Amanda, what was that? Oh, the Winchester house. Me and Amanda went to the Winchester house out in California.
Dean and Sam?
No.
Dean and Sam's house?
No.
Supernatural?
And we got the crazy tour, the expensive tour.
But it was a weird place. It felt a little unsettling to me. Like it was like you could see now. I do think that was mental illness, but you could see where it like spiraled through. It was nuts. That was a really creepy place to go. I wasn't a fan of that trip.
Yeah.
I thought it sucked because it was creepy.
But they do say out in the Pine Barrens, because it is majority of it is swamp, and it goes all the way to the beach, all the way to inland, and a lot of it's swamp area. That's where you can find some good crappie, from what I hear. Or what are those things with the teeth? The fish with the teeth?
The pickerels.
The pickerel. Yeah, the
fish.
pickerel. You can do really good pickerel fishing.
Totally different fish. And can we not fucking spot burn? Thanks, Amanda. Can we not fucking spot burn?
A lot of it is sandy dirt roads, not just dirt, but sand. Sand is everywhere. It's a weird place, and you hear some weird shit, and people think they're being watched or followed, and nothing's out there, and you can get lost in the Pine Barrens if you don't know where you're going.
It's weird.
Yeah. Which will now bring me. So my grandpa, when I was a kid.
Oh shit, she got another one. Okay.
Yes, I do. Sweet. When I was a kid, he told me he was the reason why the Jersey Devil came to Mount Holly. And he made a. So my grandfather was born in like the 1950s.
Hey, is this on? Hold on. Whose side is this on? Your dad or your mom's?
My mom. It's Mount Holly. So he lived.
Goddamn, Alex, the fuck you don't know your wife's people?
Yo, they got a lot of stories. They got a lot of stories. I just got to make sure which side on how crazy. Is it the Italian side or is it the Polish side? Because that really, it really matters.
So
regardless, they got good sausage.
Yeah, both of them do.
Yes, we do have some good kielbasa. So anyway, so my grandpa, he grew up in Mount Holly, New Jersey, and when he was a little shithead kid, he decided he put a sheet on it over his head to make him kind of look like a ghost. And he went to one of the cemeteries. I don't remember. There was a couple in Mount Holly. And he hid up in a tree and he waited for for anybody to walk by. And it was this poor lady. And he told me he jumped out of the tree and he scared the shit out of her and said, "I'm the Jersey Devil." And then she went taking off, scared shitless, screaming that the Jersey Devil.
I've never heard that story. That's amazing. I've never heard that one. I've heard a lot of stories about the old man. I've not heard that one. That's a good one.
And that was one he told me when I was a kid, which leads me into a ghost story.
Okay.
In Mount Holly. I don't know where.
Well, hold on. May we give some other opportunity? No, go for it. Actually, go for it.
You want me to go into my? Okay.
Yeah.
Notice how like your iPad light is like I got a flashlight under my head.
Hey, can we not break behind the scenes?
Can you just
say,
tell your fucking story? We won't give a fuck about your life.
Okay.
everybody listening to this is like, what the fucking light?
This is an audio podcast there, Amandy.
I'm sorry. Okay, if anybody you can't see me, but the iPad under me looks like I have a flashlight about ready to tell you a ghost story.
Oh, you're right. Hey, I gotta go pee in the sub pump. Keep going.
All right.
Fuck them neighbors.
the Mount Holly Jail, New Jersey, was built in 1811 and it closed in 1965. And it was the oldest and continuously used jail in the whole entire country until it closed down in 1965. So when it first opened, it was only supposed to house about 40 inmates. But by the time it closed, it had about 100 or a little bit more. And the person who designed the Mount Holly jail or prison, whatever you want to call it, was Robert Mills. And he's famous in his own right because he designed the U.S. Treasury Building, the U.S. Patent Office, the U.S. Post Office, and the Washington Monument in D.C. So at the time,
all have, not to interrupt you, which all have ties to demonic and like devilish things themselves, like
Illuminati.
That may come into play here.
Yeah.
So at the time,
damn, Rudd, quit ruining her story.
I'm sorry.
So at the time, in the early 1800s, when the jail was built, it was considered state of the art. So there are 3 floors to this prison, and the death cell is on the top floor in the center of the jail in order so prisoners couldn't escape from. So it had a very small window all the way at the top, and you couldn't dig your way out, and you couldn't escape through the window. And then in the center of the floor was an iron ring so they could chain you to it. And I did read that supposedly those inmates that were in a death cell, because they were on death row, were also naked in that cell with no fireplace, no nothing. So they literally just had to lay on the floor naked, chained to an iron ring to the center of the floor.
Sounds like me after every Bass and Brews episode.
There it is. God damn it. You beat me to the joke.
So they say the ghost that they think haunts it is Joel Clow. I think I'm saying his name right. I don't know. It doesn't.
Well, he's fucking dead. It doesn't matter.
So anyway, apparently you can hear him moaning all the time or whenever at the jail. Because
what would that sound like?
Oh.
Sounds like a greased up deaf guy.
Use some Astroglide, he'd be moaning a little bit easier.
People in the death cell were all by themselves.
That's why they needed some. No,
you can still moan by yourself.
That's true. And in the death cell, they did preserve.
Alex spent 9 months moaning by himself.
No shit.
Well, thankfully, it was by himself and not with somebody else.
That you know about that wasn't a man. Anyway, I mean, that wasn't a man. Excuse me. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
So in this death cell, they did a really good job of preserving all the graffiti because the inmates would draw and write, and it's really, really neat on the inside of the cell. They were able to preserve most of it. So one of the first inmates to be executed was the Joel Clow. Now they didn't, most of the time when they did executions, they did hang them in the prison yard. But he was one of the first ones to be executed, but not there, a couple miles down the street. But they took his body and buried him in a prison yard.
We took him back. Damn.
Tree has grown over top of his grave.
Oh, ghost tree.
Yes, a ghost tree. So
the new movie by M. Night Shyamalan is fucking Ghost Tree.
Yeah. With the most horrible twist that you've ever seen at the end.
The whole time the tree was a cactus.
Prickly little bit.
That's the tagline. He's a prickly little bitch.
So this is why I believe in ghosts.
Okay.
Because when I was in college, my professor needed us to write a paper and to have pictures included and all this crazy stuff. So I was like, you know what? Let me go to Mount Holly and go do the jail because it's historical.
It's emo. And it's emo.
No, just because I knew where it was and it was only a 45-minute drive from my parents' house. So I drove up there and I go in there. And I didn't have to pay because I was a student. So I'm walking around and I'm taking all the pictures. And I'm kind of already like, what's the word? On edge. My nerves were kind of getting to me. And then I step into to see the women's cell, and this noise goes off and it scares the shit out of me because it's one of those door things where if you walk through, it'll make the noise and
like the 7-Eleven ding dong.
Yeah, kind of like that. But they make it so that things make noise or whatever, and you can hear the women talk or whatever, like it puts you back in time that you're in there when the jail was open. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I was kind of like
automation, like an automation for a tour.
Yeah, and it scared the shit out of me. So I was already on edge. I'm like, well, Jesus Christ. Yeah. So I'm like going through the whole thing, and I take all these pictures, and the death cell it's locked. They don't let anybody in it. You can look through it, but they keep the door locked. So I go down, I'm explaining, I thought I was done. I go down, I explain to the guy like, hey, I'm finished. Blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, well, what were you doing? I was like, oh, I'm doing a report, paper for college. And he was like, do you want the keys to the death cell? I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I'll give you the keys. You can go in there, just lock up when you're done. I'm like, sweet.
And this is how Amandy did not live past her sophomore year of college.
So I get up there.
Amanda is such a ghost. Such a ghost.
So I go into the death cell.
Sitting down there transparent as hell, just a ghost. I mean,
and I'm like I'm taking it all in. It's dark in there. I'm looking at all the graffiti, just like, holy shit, they let me in here. This is pretty fucking awesome. I took a bunch of pictures while I was in there. And then I'm like, all right, it's time to go. So I go and I lock the door. And the next thing you know, I feel like somebody's watching me. And the most awful smell I've ever smelled in my life of rotten eggs, sulfur, you name it.
Yeah.
It was the most disgusting thing in the world. And I'm the only one in there except the guy who works downstairs on the first floor. And I'm like, holy fuck.
Ghost fart. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was it was a ghost fart. It was something. Scared the living shit out of me. And I just went, okay, I'm done. Please don't follow me. And I ran my ass back down to the first floor and handed the guys the keys back. And I was like, it's locked up. I'm done. I'm out of here. And then I left, and about 5 years later, I saw it on what's it called? Ghost Hunters. I was looking for the episode to show you last night, and the same exact thing happened to them, and they actually got EVP readings and all that other crazy shit. So it is haunted.
It's a manifestation of evil. I'm telling you, that's I'm not going to interrupt with another story, but I got a story about that too. It's pretty wild.
Well, that was it.
One way to go, Amanda. Way to go, Amanda. They're fucking well put together.
And I did see on their website with the Mount Holly Jail, if you want to, you can pay to do a ghost tour.
Yeah.
Where they will let you rent out the jail for a couple $100, depending on how many people are in your group, and let you go at night and do your own like paranormal
We're gonna do it.
thing.
Oh, we should do a live podcast from it.
Where's Rudd? Well, he started at Genesis. He ain't gonna finish till we get to Revelations, but he'll be down here to finish.
But that's why I believe in ghosts, because that was definitely a ghost following me around. And after I walked out of his cell, he let it be known that bitch, don't come back. And I was like, please don't follow me, please.
Don't come back now, you hear?
Yeah. I got out of there real quick.
Maybe it was Ben Franklin, because, a ghost knows a ghost. And so he was like, what the fuck? I'm still going back to that. I'm going to use that all the time at the house now. I cannot wait to tell my kids, like, shut up, you're being a ghost. Like, you're just a ghost right now.
Floating around here, all just transparent. Can't punch you. Ghost. Women and children, they're like ghosts because you can't hit them. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
Nope, that's the one I'm clipping. Done. That's the one I'm clipping with no context, and that's the one that's going to get 2 million views on TikTok. Alex Rudd. Bam.
Oh, God.
Paul, you got a story for us, Paul? I got him right when he's taking a sip. I always feel like Paul
here's
is
what we
spitting
got
his
is
dip
we've
into the
got
same cup.
We got Lee County, South Carolina in the late 80s.
Okay.
Now, I grew up in Chesterfield County, about 20 minutes from Lee County, Bishopville to be exact. I was in the first grade, and there was the
What
sighting.
year was that? Because Amanda has
1988.
Amanda set the precedent. I want full facts, dates, all of that.
1988-ish. There was a sighting of a lizard man in Lee County, and it fucking took off like nobody's business. Obviously, 88 is for the internet. There were people down there investigating, and the lizard man was this lizard man, believe it or not, had scales, all this and this shit, and in this is Podunk, South Carolina, in the middle of really nowhere. And Lee County is, again, like the Jersey Devil, a bunch of swampland. And I think, what was it? Initially started it was footprints, and I think somebody's car got scratched up, and there were teeth marks, like had been biting the car. And it turned into this big deal. They even had the fucking lizard patrol. They had rednecks out there with guns and spotlights.
Shoot a cannonball.
Lee County, South Carolina, running around at night,
trying to shoot shit,
trying to spotlight and shoot the fucking lizard man. And I can't. This is a long time ago, 88. I want to say at some point, like the FBI had some people down there that were trying to investigate this shit, and it lasted, I don't know, a couple years maybe. And then some stories came out that a guy there were footprints, that they molded footprints, and a guy come out, apparently had done that to try to keep people from stealing beans out of his bean field or some shit. But then again, in like 2006, 7, or 8, it came back. There you go. There's the lizard man.
Oh, dude, the mic is right in the perfect spot that he was talking.
There's the lizard man.
So the lizard man was a big deal back then. They had shirts and shit. I mean, there were tourists. There were people coming in from all over the country to come see the lizard man. And I will say that this is 100% fake. Everybody knows that it was fake. But at the time, it wasn't. And people were really believed that there was a fucking lizard man running around Lee County. Yeah. Well, in the early 2000s, somewhere 6, 7, 8, somewhere around in there, a lady and a man, or a lady came out and had heard a commotion outside and came out. There were all these scratch marks on her car and like teeth marks. And I believe a cat or two had been killed and shredded out in their yard. And so 20 years later, the lizard man resurfaces. And Destination Truth. Do y'all remember that show, Destination Truth? I can't remember the guy's name. They got wind of that and came down there and actually took hair samples that they found and looked at all that. They came back and
he ain't got no hair.
They did a little investigation. It was on the fucking Discovery Channel or whatever it was, and they concluded that it was like a coyote or something maybe that had killed the cats. But the lizard man was a big deal, and I'm sorry, mine's not as good as Amanda because the Jersey Devil is way more interesting. My second one is this.
Hey, hold on, Paul. Real fun though. In August of 2017, when that solar eclipse was happening, the South Carolina Emergency Management Division sent out a text to everybody in South Carolina that during the eclipse to be careful and to be watchful. To remain vigilant for sightings of lizard man. That's what the actual South Carolina Emergency Management Division.
I would load every gun that I had and just be sitting on the front porch like, I am waiting to kill this
Every fucking
thing.
cannonball I had would be prepped in a cannon, ready to fucking go.
There was that little thing, just a little thing lit, just ready to on a damn hair trigger. Poof!
The crazy thing about the lizard man, the reason why it made sense. So if you've ever driven down I-95, I-20, I-95 in South Carolina, that is where the lizard man haunts. And if you come down those roads, it is swamp everywhere and a lot of water. So the lizard man made sense about what was out there. And there's still, there's Harry's too, which is a little restaurant right off of 95 in Bishopville or 20 in Bishopville over there and all that good stuff. The second one, and so I grew up close to that. I was first grade, second grade when all that shit was happening. It was fun. The second one is really close to home now, and it has a lot of lore to it. It's Mermaid Point. It's where Deep River and the Whole River meet, and they're two fairly large-sized rivers. The Whole River is the main river that feeds Jordan Lake, and they come to a point. And back in the 1700s, during the Revolutionary War time, there was a sandbar there, and then some guy started a pub. Anyway, there were tons of stories back in that time from the Revolutionary soldiers that were there about mermaids in this area. And you could see them swimming around and shit. And apparently they would come, that turns into the Catawba River, and the Catawba River goes out to the Atlantic Ocean. And the story was that the mermaids will swim up the Catawba to Mermaid Point and wash their hair, wash the salt out of their hair and shit to get all clean. And you could see them frolicking around. Well, later in time, there were some dams that were put up above that and below that, and so they said they quit seeing the mermaids. But the interesting thing is once the sandbar disappeared, right? Because rivers, sandbars move and shit, and then the pub fell in or burned up or some bullshit like that. Apparently, there's still some foundation somewhere around.
I'm pretty sure this is the premise of the new Roadhouse movie. But anyway, go on.
100% is. Yes. Conor McGregor comes
what is
in
interesting,
with his swagger.
What is interesting about this is after the pub closed down.
Take this chance to apologize. Absolutely nobody.
I'm sorry, go on.
Hey, that's the first time that's actually come into play and been relevant.
Exactly. Yeah. I have that one just on there just in case.
Yeah. And finally, relevance is relevant.
Yeah.
But what's funny is after that pub no longer existed, burnt down, whatever the fuck happened to it, no more of the mermaids were there. I just think they had really, really good alcohol. And all these Revolutionary War soldiers right there getting fucked up. Yeah. And it was just a bunch of men hanging around each other, fighting. And whatever they could do to make them think that there was some women around, they did it. But Mermaid Point is really neat. We had a fishing tournament on the Catawba.
Boo! Nobody cares about fishing.
I went up to Mermaid Point and around there. I mean, it's a very well known little area on the Catawba, Deep River, Whole River Point there with the mermaids. And I've got a bunch more. I won't go into them because I really did not research them, just like I didn't really research this other shit either. But oh my God, that mermaid in the middle, holy shit, I'd bet her down.
Hey, so
but the
ew. So
she's 16,
funny,
Paul.
Yeah, that's gross.
She's not.
Yeah, she is.
Yes, she is.
Not? Who is that? That's
The
Ursula.
Little Mermaid. That's Ariel.
Bitch, that's Ursula in the middle. She's got a tentacle.
Ariel's in the middle too.
Oh no, I didn't see that Ariel. She was behind Alex. I was talking about Ursula in the very back.
I'm not editing shit. I'm not editing out the part where Paul said a 16-year-old was hot.
When our kids were watching The Little Mermaid, the first movie, my daughter said Ursula was really angry all the time because she had big boobs.
That tracks well.
She makes a great point.
That tracks
She makes
well.
an excellent point.
Them bitches were always hot and always dripping sweat underneath because they were so big.
She makes an excellent
Look at
point.
Rudd. Every time Rudd's like, man, I love coming on Bass and Brews. Then about an hour into it, he's like, oh, fuck, I remember now. Damn it.
Damn it. Hell,
my guess is big boobs are like big balls. They're just always sweaty and musty.
They're not
underneath.
musty, but they do get sweaty.
Well, if they had hair,
That's good.
if you got hairy boobs, then they probably do get musty.
Does Bigfoot okay, real question here.
Hold on. You got it. Nope. I already know your question, and you got to go to the episode because we covered that.
No, let him ask it. Go ahead. We got to answer. Ask it, Russ.
Go ahead.
Does Bigfoot have a human dick or one of those red rocket things?
Oh, we did ask that.
We did ask that.
Yes,
You asked. You said, "What's he working
listened to
with?"
that one. You did.
Yes,
ask
you
that.
asked what his dick was like, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Well, it's probably more humanoid than animal."
Okay.
Yes, he did say that.
Okay.
I
he's
he's
got
got to
a-
ask about
he's got a
hairy
pecker.
boobs because
Or
hairy
hairy
boobs
boobs.
was asked too.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Well, from everything I've heard, they're not.
The boobs
Mm-hmm.
definitely hairy. He thinks that
Like
they
a
are hairy.
gorilla. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know either. Never seen one.
Dude. The
There's
best
That's
part
the
of
most
that.
famous female big feet right there. It said she was a female.
Yeah. No, he said, again, anybody who hasn't listened, go back, but he says it also depends on the tribe because he thinks there's, what was it, Paul, 2 or 3 different tribes of Bigfoot that
Something
circle
like that.
around.
But apparently, what
five?
was crazy to
3.
me was like he said that the biggest group was up in that northeast Pennsylvania,
New
that
York, New
northeast
Jersey.
area. Yeah, was the biggest pod of big feet.
I don't call bullshit.
Yeah. Well,
Too populated over here.
Mike
Call
was a
bullshit.
nice guy. He had a lot of good points.
But
It was
that's
great.
what he said. They were there was because it was populated. I can't remember exactly why. Y'all have to get back
No,
to
that's
listen to
why
that episode.
he said that we have so many sightings in New Jersey because there are people.
There's
and that
so
they
many
just
people
move.
to see them.
Yep,
and it did
exactly.
make sense.
Did you know
So,
New
like-
Jersey has the most densest population of black bears of anywhere in the country?
Correct. Yep, absolutely. Did you know that we don't have a bear hunt either?
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy.
Yep,
Which is
just a
Eastern
fun
North
fact.
Carolina has the biggest black bears in the continental U.S. Because all they do is sit out there and eat grain. We're talking about 800-pound black bears.
His face.
I know. Hey, did you know Rhode Island has clams?
Did you know that Florida has water?
No shit. No,
Water.
Florida has water.
Has water.
Water
Water.
and meth.
All right. A lot of meth. All right. We're gonna go on to mine. So, like I talked about earlier, it was I'm doing the Wendigo. You guys know what that is? Anybody? Paul's gonna go take Wendigo, it depends. It could be said either way.
Yeah.
But so this is like a it's covered by a lot of Native American tribes. They all have a kind of different name for it. But it's the same kind of entity. It's like this hunger beast that eats people. And they think that if you try human flesh for the first time, you're going to turn into this ravenous. What's up?
Like in that episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where
Exactly.
they think they eat
And then that's all they can eat, right? I think
Yeah.
they use that as the basis. But
Yes.
this thing is supposed to be gnarly. It's snarly, and it's supposed to kind of be in all white. And it always looks emaciated, right? It always looks like it's starving, even though it's eating all the time. And this is one of the ones where I think kind of what we talked. I think this is actually like a lesson, like they created this cryptid. Yep. I think they created this.
Like?
Yep. So I think they created this cryptid solely to stop people from eating other people. Like, I think the Native American tribes were like, don't fucking munch on Jim because you're going to turn into this shit. Because, no, I really do. Because I do think some things are made up for a purpose. Like, we had, like, Aesop's fables, right? Those were all made up stories that teach you a lesson. I think this was to scare people. But there is a lot of weird, like, with the internet coming out, a lot of this cryptid shit gets real fake real quick, right? Because anybody can, and now that we have, like, Midjourney and all these other AI services, now you can just type into something and they're going to make you a sweet Bigfoot video or whatever, right? But there's some like legit possible sightings of these, and they get kind of mixed in with skinwalkers too, which are kind of somewhat similar, but not really. They're just kind of two different. They're just like these evil spirits that Native Americans believed in. But when I was a kid, I saw an X-Files episode in the second season of X-Files because I'm fucking old, and they covered it, and it fucking scared me so much because I had a camping trip the next week, and I swear that whole camping trip, that's all, they were just all over the place. In my head, they were just all over the place. It ruined the trip, but they always stuck in my head. Yeah,
everywhere in the woods.
No, they're fucking like, I think we've talked about on the show before. The movie Fire in the Sky is like my as a kid, it was like
movie.
That is the best movie ever, and he's never changed the story.
It scares me to watch that movie when they shove that thing down. I go, thank you. Anyway,
that movie is amazing.
It scared the shit out of me, and that kind of segues into real quick because
spell segue.
Your mom.
Anyway.
All right. So me and Amanda actually shot this. I'm dead serious. We still don't know the answer to what this is. This was like 3 years ago. So I'm going to play it.
Already that far ago?
And they're like kind of like fading in and out a little bit. And there's more coming from over there.
Maybe they're flares.
That many, but you're in a Coast Guard. Do flares travel like that?
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't think flares travel like that.
Helicopters. In a minute. Golly, that's really weird. I know. All right, so we recorded that from our porch.
You took out the part where he said the aliens were coming to get us.
What the fuck happened? Why did you? This is why you can't believe shit anymore. Why didn't you keep recording?
Well, because I had to cut the footage down to fit onto StreamYard because you can only do up to 200
They look like
megabytes.
helicopters to me.
Nope. Completely silent.
Rudd, what do you think?
Okay, so here, let me give you my theory on aliens. It's us.
What do you mean it's us? We're aliens?
No, it's our tech. It's our tech. This is, I think that anything to do with extraterrestrial is a Manhattan level cover up of technology that we have developed so far beyond anything that we could comprehend that the government can't even tell us about it because it'd blow our minds. And I think when they blew up the atomic bomb and all of that science that went on there, I think we learned more about space-time and all. I mean, because think about what Albert Einstein was working on at that point, the theory of relativity, space-time. I mean, that's what he was working on. And so if a mind in 1945 could work on space-time, what have we done with that information since 1945 to 2024?
TikTok.
Yes. That's the distraction.
All right, wait. So you think that all these sightings and shit are just like testing of the technology that we have, or normal operation of that technology, but we mask it as alien tech?
Well, why wouldn't you think they wouldn't be coming down to just to take a look, see what's going on with these crazy ass people down here?
I lean,
because it's us.
I lean more towards, if they're out there, they're billions of light years away and they don't even know we exist yet.
Yes, they do.
No,
They built the
I
pyramids.
fully believe there is extraterrestrial life out in the universe.
Yeah.
We have not seen them. They have not seen us. And there's other living organisms. They could be humans like us. They could be dinosaurs. There's living organisms out there.
David Bowie was an alien.
That might be
Lord.
That might be true.
That's the White Claw talking.
Yeah.
No, I kind of believe it, though.
I mean, I'll tell you this. I had an uncle who was, he was really, really high up in the Air Force. He was like, when he retired, the damn retirement ceremony was like 3 hours long. I don't know, Alex, you tell me. Whatever's big enough that you got like 12 dudes that walk up and shake your hand, that's what he was. Okay. I mean, the governor showed up and everything. So
he wasn't an E6.
I don't know. But this guy, he went to Area 51, NORAD. He's been to places out west in the side of mountains that I don't even know what the name of them are, that he can't tell you about him. And I jokingly asked him one day, I said, "What's at Area 51?" And he said, "Well, if I told you, I'd have to kill you," jokingly. And he's like, "But seriously," he said, "I can't tell you much of anything, but I will tell you that what's at Area 51 would totally reshape the way that you think about the world in which you live."
Sure.
I don't see what that means.
Did you ever ask him about Antarctica and what's down there?
Let's just put it this way. He didn't talk about anything. He still doesn't talk about anything. I mean, like, he won't. Like, they have them so scared to death. And like, that's like all the people that work out at Oak Ridge that I told you about. They've got them so scared shitless to say anything. Like, they don't even joke about it. Like, it's not even like, I'm like, "Oh, you know where the aliens are at?" And they're just like they're scared to death to talk about anything.
Well, I'll tell you what, whether there's something or not, or it's aliens or not, one, you got to be careful with classification, because when you get a security clearance, you sign as somebody who's had multiple and still has one, right? You sign this contract, right? It's called the SF-302, and it is a contractual, legally binding document that's saying that you will never disclose this information, whether you still hold a clearance or not. And if you do, you are punished, or you can be punished up to the level of treason. And you sign this document, which I think is really crazy, because you sign it at like 18 years old or 19 when you first get a security clearance in the military. But like, you sign all this stuff, and then like, if you get a TS, a top secret clearance, you sign additional, because you are getting the next level information. And it's basically like the 302, right? But it's even stiffer penalties. And again, it reiterates specifically, whether you hold a clearance or not, you are now saying you will never divulge classified information under the threat of getting fucking sent to a black site. You're done, right? Like, that's why they're scared to say anything, because you could fuck up and say something wrong somewhere, and then somebody puts it on the internet or
and then
whatever,
you get
right?
suicided.
Well, okay, Amanda, that's okay.
But yeah, so I don't know.
Anyways, Bigfoot had a clearance.
Hey.
No, like, all that shit can be there. So that video I did call, because like, if there's helicopter operations, they have to call the Coast Guard unit there, because they're all working in an airspace that the Coast Guard maintains. And there was none. Also, if you do any flare shoots, obviously you have to call the Air Force and the Coast Guard. I called that night. There were no scheduled flare ops. And also, because a lot of these things can be seen as like Chinese lanterns, when they light them off and they set them up into the sky.
Yeah, but they continue to float. They don't stop.
These things fucking stopped. And it was like the weirdest. It was the weirdest thing. Rudd, I'll send it, because it's kind of grainy on this. I'll send it. I'll text it to you, because it is, dude, it's fucking wild.
Yeah.
And I remember I shot that, and we talked about it for a couple days, and then, life gets in the way. And then I remember it was like a year later, I was just like, oh shit, I forgot this is in my favorites. and like it's fucking creepy, right? And I've never put that online. I fucking should.
Now, was that over the ocean?
No,
that was right
inland.
in the Pine Barrens.
It was over the Pine Barrens. It was the Jersey Devil.
It was we were
Yeah, it was a bunch of Jersey Devils.
It was actually like over wooded area.
Yeah, it was over the woods.
I
And
will tell you this much. There's a book that y'all need to listen to. I listened to it. I didn't read it. It's called Nuclear War Scenario. And it breaks
Sounds
down
like a fun romp with the kids.
Dude, it's rough. But all that being said, it makes you realize how much of a hair trigger we all are.
Sure.
well, yeah.
And it makes you realize, like, it made me more than anything go, dude, we probably got some stuff like in one of them bunkers out there that's it's like, hey, if one of them ICBMs ever gets launched, they're like, okay, let out the alien tech. We're gonna go shoot these things. We're gonna go absolutely just
like that,
everybody up.
Dude, it totally reminds me. So I was watching it. Amanda, you got to see some of it too. That documentary they did on my ship. I was just watching it. It's on Netflix right now. It's called Battleship. When I went to Hawaii and did the rim pack exercise and aliens popped up.
So fucking stupid.
Damn.
No, I love
movie
it.
is
That's on
so
Netflix. Hey, so when that movie came out, we were going to the rim pack exercises in Hawaii, and when it came out, so then we made the joke of like, oh, this is our patrol video, because every patrol you do, you make like a home video basically of the whole patrol. So we just use Battleship for fucking everything. But and we talked about it way earlier, all the way at the beginning of the show, the ocean. That's where I think if there's anything hidden, it's fucking down there, dog. There's something there because it's so unexplored. We know more about the surface of the moon than we know about the ocean floor.
And why is Garmin being paid almost $1 trillion a year to develop sonar technology for the ocean?
Well, and there's a lot of people. Amanda, again, I just realized this. Just connected all of it. This fits. Amanda worked for a lady who mapped the oceans, right?
Oh, well, I worked for back in California. Well, she didn't map the ocean. She was the first female diver to go like so many feet below or whatever like
that.
But
her company is the one that helped give Google, because you know Google Earth, you can get an ocean layer. Her company helped that.
And they did a lot of stuff where like important people would call because they did the submersible underwater little ball things that they would go in and sit in and go and explore the ocean underneath the water and stuff like that. Yeah, they made those things.
But that shit's crazy. You're right. Why is Garmin
too bad old boy the Titanic didn't use their technology.
I'm not gonna name names, but
Ocean, what was that? Ocean One.
You know, they said when that thing imploded that they knew immediately. The U.S. knew immediately.
Oh yeah,
they heard it and knew exactly what it was.
Yeah, and like they were just like playing it off because I don't think they want to unveil the tech. Like I think that's, you know what I mean?
True.
Like
he didn't have the tech when he made that thing.
Well,
no. He's talking about them knowing that the implosion happened.
Yeah. No. They definitely.
And they still went out and searched for him and shit, knowing that the bitches were.
Oh, they knew they were already dead.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. They have.
That is true. That's a good point, Rudd. Is that they didn't want to? Yeah, they didn't want to give too much away on the tech. I have a quick story. I'm going to fuck the story up, so I'm not going to really tell it, but I'm going to see if my mama will tell it. I got to see if we can do it on an episode, but my grandma and her friend were out on Myrtle Beach drinking, and I believe this was back in the 80s.
So he starts
and they were seeing lights out in the ocean, and they're the only ones on the beach drinking. This is my grandma and her friend, Mimi. And they were seeing these lights, and they started calling people and apparently got to the White House. I'm going to have to get my mama to tell this story. And they were apparently people came out there to look at it, but it was they saw these weird lights. That was something that they didn't know, had never seen before.
Alex, you're 100% right. It's the ocean, bro.
Yeah.
The ocean, I think that's where the ball is.
But you got to figure we're 15 miles from the ocean too. We're not that far from the ocean, so it's like ocean then woods. So, well, there's bay, so ocean, little bit of land, bay, and then woods.
That's the worst geographical.
You could tell she was a history major, not a.
We got the ocean, a bay, and the woods.
Yeah, it goes ocean, then like Atlantic City, and like
Can
like
you stop spot burning?
And then like, and
then like, ain't nobody gonna steal your fucking spot so they can go catch catfish.
Ocean, extreme white trash, and then the wood.
Exactly. That's where she went.
Yeah, pretty much. This part of South Jersey is called the Hood in the Woods.
The Hood in the Wood.
Dang.
The Hood in the Woods.
I will say so, and even our government, I'm trying to figure out exactly what I can. Okay, so
just don't.
Well, no. So submarines, right? So submarines, when they're submerged, they hit a whole nother classification level, right? Any kind of communication with them, like their location is TSSCI, so it's like super, super, super top secret. But we'd be on the ship, and my last patrol, we were up in Alaska, right? And we're doing our thing in the Arctic, like messing around with the icebergs, dealing with the shelf, basically. And we're all the way up there, and we have a skiff, which is a super secret area on the boat.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we're getting a message. You want to come take a look? And it's this unit going, hey, what's up, guys? What are you guys up to? And we're just like, who the fuck is this? Right. And it's just via chat. And they're like, oh, we're right next to you. And we're looking at the radars. And like, we don't see anything. And they're like, did you look below? LOL. And it was a fucking sub who was below us, like miles below us, had pinged us. And were fucking trolling us from like miles below us. It was fucking crazy. But that they could even do shit like that is nuts. And that's where I think, yes, shit's hidden.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even get a fucking cell service on the lake, and these motherfuckers are texting you 2 miles below the ocean.
Read that book, because that was the one they called the submarines the handmaidens of the apocalypse.
Yes.
And that was what she talked about, was like the submarines with the nukes on them.
Yes.
Any given time, anywhere, they can, they're there. They can launch 80 nuclear warheads and go back down and never be seen again. Like
it's fucking crazy.
They're not even able to reproduce because women can't be on submarines.
Yes, they can. They changed that about 5 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's active duty and female officers on nuclear subs now.
Oh.
And even the old gas burners too that we still have. But
they still got diesel subs.
We have, I think there's like 10 or so in the fleet still. Because that would be like your, that's a whole different side.
All right, this is back to cryptids though. We're talking about all this bullshit with this technology, and that Rudd saying is the.
Is that a different Sasquatch?
No, it's the same one.
Oh, I thought it was a different
background's
one.
different. There you go.
Yeah,
he painted it 2 different sides. But this is my whole thing with the cryptid shit. Is that we're talking about all this technology, and Rudd is saying that the alien technology that we see is us. This is how I know that this cryptid shit ain't real, because we can fucking do all this other bullshit, and we got alien technology, but we can't find fucking Bigfoot walking around in the woods, or when we do, it's a grainy ass video like you took it on a flip phone from 2005.
You know what?
This is why the cryptid shit. This is why I can't get in there with the cryptid stuff.
No.
To me, it's just not there.
No. She says,
because here's the thing: they still discovered new animals and insects and lizards.
But ain't none of them upright humanoid ape.
Yeah, but you got to think about it this way, Paul. The government doesn't give a shit. So, like, the government may know that giant sloths are still living in South America, and they may know exactly where Bigfoot lives, and they just don't care. I mean, dude, they're worried about North Korea dropping a nuke on us, and they're worried about what Russia
ain't gonna do shit. It's North Korea. I'd be more worried about China and Russia.
You need to read the
North
book.
Korea ain't gonna do shit.
But it's like that's what they care about, and unless it's going to interfere with what they've got going on, and then even if they know, they're just like, okay, well, put a top secret clearance on that and stick it in a file somewhere, because we got bigger fish to fry, because Russia has nukes, or Russia has AI, or China has AI that we don't. They have sentient AI, and that's the next thing that is not fake, that is like seems like it's literally cryptic. And it's like, you think, oh, sentient AI, that's like something of the future. No, it's here now. Like, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother night. But you go down that rabbit hole, you will scare yourself to death. Like,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
But they do discover new animals all the time.
They
There,
do.
Paul.
Yeah.
Calm down. They
I
find them.
understand that. I'm a naturalist. I understand. I'm
All right,
just
well,
saying in North America that this cryptid bullshit in North America ain't. Look, I want to eat a Bigfoot. I want somebody to kill one, and I want to fucking eat it. I want to see what it tastes like.
That would be more cannibalism, I think. They're too close to us. They could be the missing link.
Do you know that a pig? Do you know that a pig, the internal workings of a pig, is closer to us than any other animal in the world?
Yeah, let's not talk about that because pork is delicious.
I know. And if you open, and that's why they study pigs for like their digestive and internal system is because they are closer to us than any other animal.
So speaking of eating, my wife has baked bread.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go eat bread.
hold on. Before we leave, the biggest thing that I think we can take out of this is